So do you want to tell us a little bit about your role in the council and how it kind of relates to the tree felling?
Yes, so in May I was appointed as the Cabinet Member for Environment and Street Scene. So my Cabinet portfolio covers waste management, recycling, issues around fly tipping and litter, and the major highways programme of investment we've got, which is Streets Ahead, which of course includes the contentious issue of tree replacement.
So it has been perceived by some of the public that many of the trees that have been cut down in the past have actually been healthy and do not need to be replaced. So from your perspective, how was this mistake made?
Well, I think this needs to be seen in the context of why we entered in such a major highways infrastructure project in the city of Sheffield. And that's because Sheffield has got a unique legacy of having the benefit of many Victorian and Edwardian avenues of trees in a modern cityscape, which in the 90s, when the City Council was under exceptional financial pressure following deindustrialisation, the council cut its highways maintenance in order to protect social services. But what it meant was for 2 decades we had a huge underinvestment in the highway infrastructure. And that's okay when it comes to issues of potholes, because you can go in and resurface a road relatively easily. But when these issues started to develop in trees, which were not being pruned, were not being maintained, were not being dead trees, were not being taken out, new trees were not being planted, that leaves a longer legacy which is difficult to deal with. So the point of Streets Ahead was to correct the lack of investment that had led to Sheffield being known as a pothole city, and to ensure that for the next 25 years and beyond we had a highway infrastructure that was of a good enough standard that it could be maintained efficiently for the city, and we can keep on top of it. The other issue was trees that had become to damage the highway infrastructure or damage neighbouring properties, and that's been a lot more contentious because people see that as a more grey area.
What went wrong in March? Why did it have to stall, and kind of how did we get to the point that we are now? Because obviously the plan kind of changed, and now there's kind of new regulations in place for the tree felling. What actually changed?
So this has been the subject of fairly contentious debate for the past 3 or 4 years. And as is entirely their right, campaign groups have used many different means. They've taken us to judicial review. They have supported opposition parties in local elections who have put forward alternative plans were they to be elected to govern the council. And they have brought petitions and engaged with councillors, and that is perfectly within their rights, and it is commendable within a democratic society. By the start of last year, it was becoming evident that with the situation as it was unfolding on the streets, it wasn't safe for members of the public, and it wasn't safe for the operatives working on the trees to just plough on. Amy declared that they needed to take a pause and give us a chance to sit down and have a rethink of what we do. So a few months later, when I took up post, I said that we needed to reach a compromise from all sides that recognises the concerns of campaigners, recognises on the other hand that we have a mandate from the electorate of Sheffield to achieve Streets Ahead. But the way we achieve Streets Ahead is by sitting down with campaigners and working out a way forward.
And of course, tree felling happens all over the country. Why do you think it is that in Sheffield in particular it was such a big issue? Why do you think that people cared so much?
So I think that's a really interesting question. I mean, there's a few factors at play here. One is, as I've outlined, this was such a major investment. This programme as a whole is worth £2.2 billion. It's underpinned by £640 million from central government, and we were trying to do 70% of the highway network and bring it up to standard within 5 years. And I think by concentrating the work in that way, it brought a lot to the head which otherwise in other places gets passed by unnoticed. So I think it's remarkable and shameful that the Liberal Democrats, when they controlled the council, they actually took out a lot of trees on Rustlings Road, which has been a centre of debate in the current programme. And we didn't replace those trees. But I think people were concerned when they saw the pace and the scale of this programme. I also think that the campaigns have drawn upon a very commendable tradition within Sheffield of loudly and vigorously getting your point of view across and standing up to authority and communicating your views when you disagree with the views of your government. So ultimately, the fact that we, without brushing over the difficulties and the great personal cost to many people taking part in this, anxiety, actually I think the place we've got to, where we've reached a compromise which recognises campaigners' concerns, that allows us to achieve what we were elected to achieve, we've ended up in a stronger position because of it.